Here's something about the Haitian migrants in Springfield that you're not going to hear from anybody else, certainly in the Democrat legacy so-called mainstream media. They're in the country because of the Biden administration's abuse of immigration law. And in fact, they're in the country legally right now. Let me explain. Before you say, oh, no, that's not true. Unfortunately, the Biden administration has been running a massive scam to bring people into the country, not even bring them across the U.S.-Mexico border, bring them into the country legally, even though they're supposed to do this on a case-by-case basis. They've done this for hundreds of thousands of migrants. This is from Bill Malugin, Fox News, who does more reporting on the border over there than anybody else. He says, per newly released CPB data, nearly 530,000 migrants have flown into the U.S. and have been paroled into the country as part of the Biden administration's controversial CHNV mass parole program. Additionally, approximately 813,000 migrants have scheduled appointments via the CBP One app at ports of entry and to be released into the U.S. These are lawful pathways created by the Biden administration, and these numbers do not count in Border Patrol data as they are not illegal crossings. This is from Bill Malugin. This is what I have been saying. I get all these people on the right who start yelling at me, oh, that's not true. Oh, you're believing the propaganda. No, I'm telling you, it's even worse than you think. If you care about having secure borders, if you care about sovereignty, if being an American has any meaning beyond just somebody who is in the territorial boundaries of the United States, what I'm telling you is critical. They are abusing the law as it exists to bring in even more migrants than you're thinking about with the 10 million who have come into the country illegally at the border. Here's how it works. At the border, when they step into a port of entry and claim asylum, or when they walk on U.S. soil, go over a fence or go, sometimes just there's open areas, they enter U.S. soil. That is illegal. They are breaking the law by doing that. However, the way our law works right now, the Biden administration is using what is in effect prosecutorial discretion to not immediately expel them from the country, but to allow them to claim defensive asylum, which then puts them into the processing for asylum that is now a decade of waiting at least. That's what it's going to end up being. And the whole game is by the time their asylum hearing actually comes up, they'll have been living in this country for years. They're as American as apple pie. They have a U.S. born child probably. I mean, and this is the whole game. So what are we even going to do here? I mean, people need to understand that the situation of migrants like some of the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, the way that the law works, it is allowing them to come into this country without going through the normal immigration process because of essentially a case-by-case special ability that is legal. This is the point. It is allowable in immigration law. I know people go, no, it's not. It is. I'm telling you. Go look at it. I think it's 1990 Immigration Act that dealt with this program of paroling people in the country. It's supposed to be for family reunification. It's supposed to be, you have a relative who's stuck in, Venezuela. Your husband's stuck in Venezuela, and you've got 3 kids who are all in the U.S. already. It's supposed to be case by case. Or if you go back to that country, something terrible is going to happen to you. They're using it for half a million plus people. It's not case by case. So the whole thing's a scam. And you have to add this number. This is why when people say it's over 8 million illegals have come into the country. Yeah, and then they found other ways to bring, in bad faith, but legally, another 500,000 just through this program. What about all the other programs they're running? Telling you, the more you dig into these numbers, the worse it all is, the worse it all looks. Across America, there are strange so-called accidents that are becoming the new norm. You might have heard about planes falling apart mid-flight and catching fire. 911 call centers going offline for hours at a time. Or you may have read that medical errors have doubled since 2020. Most people understand there's something wrong with this country, but no one understands how dark it really is. The wheels are falling off America. Learn what's really happening in this country at americadisaster.com. americadisaster.com. What most Americans don't realize is that in the very near future, a massive new accident may be coming to our country, but this one will affect absolutely everyone with any ties to the U.S. financial system whatsoever. Learn what's coming next at americadisaster.com. That's americadisaster.com, paid for by Stansberry Research. My friends, the immigration situation is obviously a mess. And the other thing that we see is they have moved the subject from the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump immediately to Trump is inspiring violence against migrants. This is, in what way is he inspiring violence? Oh, because of the calls that have been made from some foreign country as yet unidentified, all from one source, that are meant to just cause chaos here with fake bomb threats. I mean, you know, everyone knows they're fake bomb threats. OK, this has all been discovered. The Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio has come out and talked about this. You know, the 30 bomb threats, they're all fake. Meaning, I mean, they're not real bomb threats. They're coming from some prankster, you know, imbecile overseas. I can assure you this person overseas has no interest, does not care what Donald Trump is saying about migrants, but just wants to sow chaos. And Democrats seize on that to avoid a very real and necessary discussion that we should all be having about how to stop the demonization of Trump. Because when you have the biggest media outlets in the country, which you do, and you have the entire Democrat Party universally attacking Donald Trump by saying that he is, you know, Hitler and he's going to end the republic and all this stuff, that level of demonization pushes people toward it would be moral for me to take action against him. The kind of actions that, you know, we've seen. It's monstrous, but this is what is happening. And the Democrats will take no ownership of this whatsoever. You'll notice it was just by way of comparison. Back during the Jussie Smollett hoax, it was Donald Trump's fault that two guys said this is MAGA country and poured bleach on Jussie Smollett. That was Donald Trump's fault, according to the media. Of course, it was all a hoax, didn't happen. The whole thing was a preposterous made-up story, laughable, hilarious, and insane. But when, and Kamala believed it. Don't ever forget that. Kamala believed that story. She thought, Jussie Smollett is the victim of a hate crime. So Trump is responsible for two people pouring bleach on somebody in Chicago, even though it never happened and the whole thing was absurd. But no Democrat is responsible. Kamala Harris's rhetoric isn't responsible for incitement against Trump when she says things like Trump is a threat to democracy and democracy is on the ballot. Something that this lunatic second attempted assassin of Trump has taken on very seriously. He really believes that democracy is under threat. And he was acting to do something about it in his mind. My friends, this is pretty straight line stuff. This is not really all that complicated when you just think it through. But how can the Democrats talk themselves down from where they are on this? And they've created a narrative of Kamala Harris has to win because otherwise the country ends. You can't really turn around to your base, to your voters at that point and say, oh, but we were just kidding, but still vote for the Democrat. But if Trump wins, no big deal. They've gotten them so upset. There's no way around this. They're going to have to continue with the rhetoric dialed up all the way if they have any hope of trying to win this thing. Now, I'm going to get into why they're not going to win this thing. I know you might say I'm overconfident, but I'm telling you, I have a vision of this. I just have no doubt that Donald Trump is going to win this election. And people say, oh, but they're going to cheat. He's still going to win. Oh, but they're going to do that. He's still going to win. Oh, I'm worried. He's still going to win. I'll get into why in a second here. So back to our sponsor this half hour, or this segment rather, which is Stansberry Research. Across America, strange so-called accidents are becoming the new normal. You may have heard about planes falling apart mid-flight and catching fire. 911 call centers going offline for hours at a time. Or you may have read that medical errors have doubled since 2020. Most people understand there's something wrong with this country, but no one understands how dark this really is. The wheels are falling off America. Learn what's really happening in this country at americadisaster.com. Most Americans don't realize in the very near future, a massive new accident could be coming to our country. This one will affect absolutely everyone with any ties to the U.S. financial system whatsoever. Learn what's coming next at americadisaster.com, paid for by Stansberry Research. Now, Kamala Harris, the interview she gave Friday to a local, like, Philadelphia reporter, journalist, whatever you want to call him, she is astonishingly bad at talking about anything, really. It's very clear to me, and it was clear watching the debate, but it's even more clear afterwards seeing her in this setting, that she memorized lines. And that was her whole approach to the debate was, I have scripted things I'm supposed to say. It doesn't come from within her. It's not what her mind is coming up with on the spot. It's that there are scripts that she learned and she just said them. I mean, she says stuff when she's having this sit down with that journalist. She says things where I don't even know what she thinks she's trying to say. It's like listening to some DEI bureaucrat talk in circles in the absurd mandatory DEI training for whatever company you work for. And it's like, 4:30 p.m. on a Friday, and all you want to do is get the heck out of there. And you're like, what is this person saying? The clock strikes 5, you can finally leave, kind of a thing. And she just rambles into nonsense. And I've said this before. I really believe this. At least with Biden, you could say, well, the guy's got dementia, so it's understandable why he would mutter things that make no sense. Kamala Harris doesn't have dementia. So what's her problem? Well, she's just been pushed along the whole way without having any actual, talent and any ability, not being very, very bright. This is just what's going on. And this is why I'm so confident that Trump is going to win. I do not think that America is such an unserious place that they would, when looking at everything that they can see now with Trump and Kamala Harris, with Kamala Harris essentially lying about everything that she ever believed of any consequence, and knowing that she'll switch right back over to believing all those things if she wins the presidency, I think a majority of Americans, not just Republicans, an overall majority of Americans see that for what it is and will not be fooled. And, if my confidence is misplaced and I'm wrong after Election Day, I'll come back and, we'll reevaluate and we'll see what's what. But I'm just telling you, I have no nervousness. I lose no sleep over whether Trump is going to win this election. I have just a total, and I didn't feel this way in 2016. I didn't feel this way in 2020. I just have total confidence he's going to win this time. And I can tell you all the different analytical reasons why, but just also in my gut, Trump's going to win this thing. That's where I am. As we approach the 1-year mark of the horrific events of October 7th in Israel, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews invites you to join them in Flags of Fellowship, an opportunity for Christians to remember the victims, honor the heroes, pray for those still held hostage, and highlight the unwavering support of Christians for Israel and the Jewish people. On October 6th, thousands of Christians will be praying for those impacted by the war and planting flags across America to honor the victims of October 7th. Join us in letting the world know that Christians stand with Israel. Your generous donation today will not only provide a flag symbolizing your support in churchyards across America, but will also support the fellowship's ongoing emergency efforts in the Holy Land. We cannot stay silent. Israel needs you now. Visit supportifcj.org to stand in solidarity with the Jewish people. That's supportifcj.org. Thanks for hanging out with me on the Buck Brief team. Shields high.